All right, number 8. So this one, you can see there's no transformations listed because this is not in vertex form. You can't tell the transformations just by looking at the equation, really, except for the reflection, I guess. But first things first, there's a few things that you can tell just from looking at the equation. You should be able to tell if it opens up and down. How can you tell that? The negative in the first. It's the A value, right? Because remember, we can identify A, B, and C. Let's do that real quick. What is A here? It's not 1. -1, that's right. That's very important. What is B? 6. And what is C? -7, right. So the A value, if it's negative, it opens down. So this one, it opens down because A is negative. Okay, if it opens down, is your vertex going to be a maximum or a minimum? Maximum. That just makes sense because if it opens down, it looks like this. Your vertex would be up here. That's a maximum. Okay? Now let's go ahead and do the domain. You should always know the domain. What's it going to be? All real numbers or negative infinity to positive infinity. That's always the same. You don't have to actually think about that one. Okay, but what else can we find? Let's see. Where is there a y-intercept? Y-intercept. We should be able to find the y-intercept looking at our A, B, and C. What is the y-intercept? Right, but remember, it has to be a point. So if you just write -7, that's not right. 0, -7. The C value tells you your y-intercept only in standard form. So your y-intercept right here is going to be 0, -7. There we go. So, and let's go ahead and graph that point, 0, -7, because we're going to be using that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right here. Okay. Now you might be wondering, how do you graph this graph when I don't have the vertex form? Once you find the vertex, you'll be good to graph the rest of it. So we need to find the vertex. Does anybody remember the formula to find the vertex with standard form? It's negative b over 2a. It's negative b over 2a. This negative b over 2a, it gives you the x coordinate of your vertex. So we're going to plug in the numbers. So it's negative, and then what's b? -6. So -6 because b is 6 over 2 times, what's a? -1. So this will simplify to -6 over -2, which is? 3. That's right. -6 divided by -2 is 3. So that means your vertex, look, the x coordinate is 3. I don't know what the y coordinate is, though. How can I find the y coordinate? Right, we plug in this 3 to our original equation, right? So let's make sure we don't mess up the steps, though, because look, it's going to be negative parentheses 3 squared plus 6 times 3 minus 7. So now we're going to simplify everything. First, in this very first term, what do we need to do first here? Square first. So what's 3 squared? 9. Then the negative sign just adds on, right? So that's going to end up being -9. What is 6 times 3? 18, so plus 18. And then we got the -7 at the end, right? And so what is -9 plus 18 minus 7? I feel like it's, what is it? 2. So that means that's the y value for the vertex, 3, 2. So let's graph the vertex, 3, 2, which is right here. Okay, so if we found the vertex, we should be able to write the axis of symmetry. What is the axis of symmetry going to be then? X equals 3. And how did you know it was going to be 3? It's the x on the vertex, that's right. So to go ahead and draw the axis of symmetry then. Because the axis of symmetry must go through the vertex like this. All right? And remember, we're trying to graph that. We're trying to draw this graph, but we don't have the transformations listed for us. But with that vertex and that y-intercept, we should be able to find one more point. How do I find that other point?
It's like one side has equal 3, so the other side has equal 3.
Right, so we reflect our y-intercept across the axis of symmetry. You see how this y-intercept is 3 spaces away from the axis of symmetry? We go 3 in the other direction, 1, 2, 3, and that is my reflected point. Notice how it's a perfect mirror image, right? And now I have 3 points. And so that is enough to make my graph, estimated graph, Get out of here. Okay. Boom. Oh, that's pretty messed up. Like that. There's the estimated graph. Okay, so let's get the range though. What is the range of this graph? Negative infinity, because the lowest point, it goes down forever. That's negative infinity to the highest point, which is right here at the vertex, which is 2. And we need a bracket around the 2 because it actually touches that point. All right, now for the x-intercepts, this is where you have to estimate it because, look, it's not exact. You just pick any numbers that looks like it makes sense. So what would my x-intercepts, what do those look like to you? Somebody give me one. 1.5, comma? 0. Okay, so that's, that's close enough for the first one. And what about the second one then? 4.2, comma, 0. So remember your y-intercepts, your x-intercepts, they have to be points. So don't just write a number. A lot of people do that and they, get it wrong. So yeah, you just estimate it, whatever looks about right. There we go. So then lastly, we just got to do the minimum and maximum value. What is the minimum, maximum value? The minimum is none, because it's negative infinity, but that's not a point. Infinity is an idea. It just goes on forever. All right, and what is the maximum value here? 2. Because it's just the lowest of the range, the highest of the range. One more thing, though. We need to convert this equation into vertex form. Now, remember, vertex form is f of x equals a times x minus h squared plus k. Okay? So right now we have standard form and we want to convert it into the vertex form. So we just fill in all the blanks. Okay, so f of x equals, what is a? Negative 1. We got that at the very beginning. It's the same a from your standard form. So we just put negative 1, or you can just put a negative sign. Same thing, right? Parentheses x minus, what's h though? 3. So x minus 3 squared plus k, what is k?
2.
Where'd you get 7 from? It's your vertex. Remember, h and k are from your vertex. So just plus 2. Wow, look at that. Plus 2, and that is the vertex form right here. F of x equals negative x minus 3 quantity squared plus 2. And that is a complete number 8.